So the Justice Department is overseeing a review of documents marked classified found inside an office that President Biden used before he was elected. The documents stem from his time as vice president, but their exact nature and the level of classification, that remains unclear. Some Republicans and critics, of course, have compared this situation to the much larger discovery of documents at former President Donald Trump's Florida home. Adriana Diaz broke the story. She's joining us now from Washington to give us the details. Adriana, good morning.
Good morning, Anne-Marie. 3 sources confirmed this story to CBS News. A preliminary inquiry by the Justice Department is nearing its conclusion, but as soon as we broke this news, it set off a political firestorm with Republicans who now control the House of Representatives, and they are asking for answers.
CBS News learned roughly 10 documents marked classified were found inside this former office of President Biden, right across from the U.S. Capitol. Sources told CBS News the Justice Department launched the review into the matter after the president's personal lawyers found a small number of documents with classified markings in a locked closet, according to a White House lawyer. The documents were discovered in early November while the attorneys were packing up the office at the Penn Biden Center, a foreign policy research institute that the White House said Mr. Biden used as an office periodically from 2017 until the start of the 2020 campaign. The White House counsel's office says the documents were not the subject of any previous request by the archives and that it immediately reported the discovery to the National Archives, which took possession of the documents the following day. Then Attorney General Merrick Garland asked the U.S. Attorney in Chicago, John Lausch, a Trump appointee, to review the matter and report back. The FBI is also involved in the preliminary inquiry. According to a source, the documents did not contain nuclear secrets, but their exact nature and classification level are unclear. The new Republican Speaker of the House called the discovery
very concerning,
as other GOP lawmakers demanded answers.
Maybe the American people should have had a right to know about it as well. But we'll have to see what these 10 documents are.
It is illegal to keep classified material in an unsecured location, but sources say it is not clear whether any crime occurred or if anyone will face charges.
If there was some other nefarious purpose or criminal intent behind that, that remains to be seen. But this just could be a case of sloppy record keeping.
The classified documents in Mr. Biden's former office were discovered on November 2nd, about 3 months after the FBI executed a search warrant at former President Trump's Florida home and office. That's after he refused to comply with repeated requests to return the materials. FBI agents laid out on the floor some of the more than 100 seized documents marked classified. President Biden was critical when he spoke to Scott Pelley in September for 60 Minutes.
how that could possibly happen. How anyone could be that irresponsible.
Former federal prosecutor Scott Frederickson says there are key differences between the Biden inquiry and that involving former President Trump.
How significant is it that these documents were self-reported, voluntarily turned over?
I think the self-reporting here is probably the single most important part of this situation. It indicates a lack of intentional conduct. It's completely different from the Mar-a-Lago case. Which tends, based on reporting, to indicate there was intentionally activity to take those documents.
But Monday night in a post, Trump asked, when is the FBI going to raid the many homes of Joe Biden, perhaps even the White House?
A source familiar with the review tells CBS News the documents are currently located in a secured government facility known as a SCIF here in Washington. Once the Attorney General reviews the inquiry, he will then decide whether there should be a criminal investigation by the FBI or even a special counsel. Anne-Marie?
I tell you, Adriana, I am learning an awful lot about classified documents, and I was sort of under the impression that there would be a paper trail or you needed to sign them out or they couldn't just sort of end up in a closet somewhere. What are the rules in place regarding the possession of classified documents?
So how these documents got to the Penn Biden Center is what is being looked at right now. But the way it is supposed to go, classified documents should be stored in a secure facility, depending on their level of classification. It can be a regular secured facility or one with more controls, like a SCIF, which we mentioned earlier. Now, you know, something that we were told by a former member of the Department of Justice is that almost never should classified documents be found outside of a secure facility unless they were declassified. And the president only has the power to declassify documents, not the vice president. And at the time, these were vice presidential documents.
So we learned from your story that though there are people comparing the situation with the former President Donald Trump, there are some significant differences. I'm wondering, though, if the fact that President Biden is now the president, if that is a significant difference, if that will alter the potential for an investigation.
Well, look at the optics. President Biden appointed the Attorney General, Merrick Garland. So Merrick Garland and the Justice Department want to ensure that this is an independent investigation. And that's one of the reasons why the Attorney General tapped the U.S. Attorney in Chicago, John Lausch, who is a Trump appointee, so not a Biden appointee. This is a Trump appointee, to take a look at what happened. What are in these documents? How did they get to where they were? And then report back to the Attorney General. So that is a complicating factor here.
And what do we know about this think tank? Because I understand that President Biden hasn't actually been to the offices in a while.
So the full name for this think tank is the Penn Biden Center for Diplomacy and Global Engagement. This is a foreign policy research institute that opened in 2018 here in Washington, very close to the Capitol. And President Biden did have an office there. He had a professorship at the University of Pennsylvania, which was affiliated with this think tank after his vice presidency. So he did occupy an office there. The White House says he went there periodically between 2017 and until the time that he started his campaign. We reached out to the Penn Biden Center. We reached out to the University of Pennsylvania, but have not heard back.
Adriana Diaz, thank you very much.